What's going on, Guardians? It's Tizzle here, and in this video I wanted to showcase why kinetic weapons are way better to use than stasis or strand weapons. Now, as you may or may not know, Bungie increased the damage of kinetic weapons. In the past, I believe they did 5% more damage than energy weapons, but now we have stasis and strand weapons that can go in the kinetic slot, and so to differentiate kinetic weapons, they decided to buff them even further. So I'm going to use math to show you why you should really only ever use kinetic weapons in your top slot. So with Lightfall, kinetic primaries now deal 10% more damage and kinetic specials deal 15% more damage. Those are significant damage buffs. Let me show you on Carl. I have two 1800 power level hand cannons with no types of buffs whatsoever. The Austringer hits for 6115 damage, I then swap to IS Luna and hit for 5559, so that is a 10% difference. I then swap to two 1600 power level slug shotguns. The Kinetic Slug Heritage hits for 42,602 damage, and the No Reprieve Stasis Slug hits for 37,046 damage. This is a 15% difference. So now that we know that, let me show you why this is an even bigger problem than most people realize. In Lightfall, Bungie also made a new system to replace burns. They introduced threats and surges, and they also introduced overcharged weapons. This is key because overcharged weapons are active in things like Master Nightfalls and Lost Sectors, and they will presumably be active in Grandmasters as well. And this is why you really only want to run kinetic weapons. So it says overcharged weapons, weapon overcharges from the seasonal artifact are active in this activity. Kinetic weapons do increase damage when your subclass matches an active surge. So the surge for this Lost Sector was Solar and Strand. So I load into a Lost Sector on a Solar subclass, and now my kinetic weapon has a 25% damage boost versus a stasis weapon. This is on top of the 15% intrinsic boost that kinetic specials have and the 10% increase that kinetic primaries have. So what does this mean? It means kinetic specials will now hit for 43.75% more damage than a stasis or strand special, and a kinetic primary will hit for 37.5% more damage. That is a huge damage increase, and you are greatly handicapping yourself if you don't run a kinetic weapon. The background gameplay has proof of just how big of a difference it makes. My No Reprieve shotgun has Enhanced Surrounded on it, which is a 47% damage buff. My Kinetic Slug hits for 9,096 damage with no damage buffs. My No Reprieve at base hits for a measly 6328. The Kinetic is hitting almost 44% more damage. I then proc Surrounded and hit for 9302. This is less than a 2.3% damage boost. That's pretty bad considering Enhanced Surrounded is one of the strongest weapon perks in the game. So I just wanted to make this video to point out to people how much of a difference this really makes. When you have surges in an activity, they only buff kinetics, so then it is 100% not worth running anything other than a kinetic, unless it has a seasonal artifact mod, which will allow you to get the surge from that. So for example, if I ran an overload bow mod with a stasis bow, then it would receive that 25% surge, even if you are not matching subclasses to the surge. So you can still get that buff, but kinetic weapons can get it for free. The background gameplay shows off a bow with overload bow and without overload bow, and you can see with it the bow hits for 25% more damage in both cases, despite me not matching the surge of that Lost Sector. I'm on a stasis subclass and would need to run Solar or Strand to get the buff if I wasn't running overload bow. So now you may be thinking, well, that's not the end of the world, I will just run the seasonal artifact mod for whatever is in my kinetic slot. Well, let me show you one more example. Let's look at Izanagi's Burden. It doesn't have a seasonal artifact mod that it can take advantage of to get the 25% surge buff. So without the surge, in a Master Lost Sector, I hit for 75,402 damage, and then if we match our subclass to the surge, we now hit for 94,252 damage. A pretty significant difference. Anyways, I hope this video helped you to understand how much stronger kinetic weapons can be than their strand and stasis counterparts. If you learned something, then consider leaving a like as it really helps me out. And if you want to see more content like this, then be sure to subscribe so you don't miss videos in the future. Finally, if you made it this far, then I thank you so much for watching. Take care.